Every Tuesday morning, a patient named Arthur would arrive at my clinic, radiating a sense of accomplishment because he just finished his 40-minute trek through the local park. He was diligent, hitting the pavement 4 times a week without fail, yet his body was screaming for a truce. By Wednesday, his ankles looked like overinflated balloons. By Thursday, his lumbar spine felt like it had been fused with concrete, requiring a grueling 15-minute ritual of groaning and stretching just to get from his bed to the bathroom. Arthur wasn't lazy. He was a warrior, but he was fighting the wrong battle. He came to me not for permission to quit, but to understand why a healthy habit was essentially dismantling his frame. The moment I stepped outside to observe his gait, the mystery vanished. It wasn't the distance that was the enemy. It was the mechanics. I'm Dr. Elias Thorne, and after 2 decades in the trenches of functional medicine, I can tell you that this is a silent epidemic of the over 50 demographic. We are told to just move, but that advice is dangerously hollow. Because if you walk with the wrong blueprint after 50, you aren't just burning calories. You are charging a high-interest mechanical tax on your joints that your body can no longer afford to pay. You are grinding down the very architecture that is supposed to keep you independent. The biological shift, why the rules changed. Before we dissect the errors, we have to look under the hood. Your body at 60 is not a used version of your body at 30. It is a biologically different machine with a different set of operating instructions. There are 4 seismic shifts occurring right now that redefine your relationship with movement. The first is sarcopenia, the gradual vanishing of your muscular armor. According to the Global Journal of Musculoskeletal Health, once you cross the half-century mark, you begin losing roughly 1.5% of your muscle mass every single year. This isn't just about aesthetics. It's about stability. Your muscles are the shock absorbers for your joints. And when the absorbers fail, the bone takes the hit. The second shift is cartilage desiccation. Your cartilage, that slippery, protective coating on your bone ends, has no internal plumbing. It doesn't have a blood supply to bring in nutrients. Instead, it relies on a pump and release mechanism. When you move correctly, you pump life-giving fluid into the tissue. When you move poorly, you starve it, leading to the brittle, thinning state we call osteoarthritis. The third shift is a metabolic pivot. Your resting metabolic rate begins to downshift, meaning the same sandwich you ate at 40 now sticks to your waist at 60. And finally, we have peripheral vascular elasticity. The tiny vessels in your lower extremities begin to stiffen. This is why you feel that heavy, leaden sensation in your calves by late afternoon. Walking, when executed with precision, is the antidote to all 4. It restarts the pump, signals muscle retention, and forces blood into the furthest reaches of your limbs. But if your technique is flawed, you aren't just missing out on the cure, you're injecting the poison. Mistake 1. The cold crank start. I recall a patient named Julian who bragged that he didn't waste time on fluff. He would walk out his door and immediately hit a 4-mile-per-hour clip. Within months, his Achilles tendon felt like a frayed rope, and he was sidelined for a month. Your body is not a digital device that reaches full power with a flick of a switch. It is more like an old steam engine. At rest, your synovial fluid, the grease for your joints, is thick and stagnant. Your muscles are cool and inelastic. When you demand a sprint from a cold system, you create micro fissures in the tissue and grind bone on bone before the lubrication has a chance to spread. The fix is a deliberate crawl. For the first 5 minutes, walk at a pace that feels almost embarrassingly slow. Think of it as a mechanical roll call for your nervous system. This allows the fluid to coat your joints and your heart to transition from a resting rhythm to a working one. Those 5 minutes are the insurance policy for the next 40. Mistake 2, the forward lean collapse. Look at any group of walkers in their 60s, and you'll see a recurring silhouette, the C shape. Shoulders rounded, chin leading the way, eyes glued to the asphalt 3 feet ahead. This is a postural tax, and it is devastating. Your head weighs roughly 12 pounds in a neutral position. However, for every inch your head tilts forward, the effective weight on your neck and upper back doubles. 2 inches of text neck. While walking means your upper spine is managing 60 pounds of force for miles. This doesn't just hurt your neck, it crushes your lungs. A collapsed chest prevents the diaphragm from descending fully, starving your blood of oxygen and making you feel out of shape when you're actually just out of alignment. The correction is the golden thread. Imagine a silver cord attached to the crown of your head, gently pulling you toward the clouds. Your chin levels out, your shoulders drop away from your ears, and your eyes find the horizon. Suddenly, your kinetic chain is stacked, your lungs expand, and the walk feels weightless. Mistake 3. The treacherous footwear. People often treat walking shoes like a fashion choice, but for someone over 50, they are a medical device. 2 things happen to your feet as you age. Your plantar fat pads thin out, and your arches lose their spring. We are literally losing our natural padding. Every time your heel strikes the ground, it sends a shock wave, 1.5 times your body weight, up through your skeleton. If your shoe's midsole is dead, that shock wave is absorbed. It's transmitted directly to your knee and hip. Most people wear their walking shoes until the tread is gone, but the internal foam often dies 6 months before the rubber does. If you walk regularly, you need new structural support every 12 months. No excuses. You need a shoe that flexes at the toe but remains rigid in the arch to prevent your foot from collapsing inward and torquing your knee. Mistake 4. The weekend warrior fallacy. Walking once a week for 2 hours is a biological mistake. Your body doesn't adapt to volume. It adapts to frequency. A massive Sunday hike followed by 6 days of sitting is a trauma event, not a fitness regimen. Your joints need the synovial pump daily to stay lubricated. Research in the European Heart Journal is clear. Longevity is driven by the consistency of the signal, not the intensity of the session. If you only have 2 hours a week, don't do it all at once. Break it into 20-minute blocks over 6 days. This keeps your metabolism in a state of high alert and prevents the stiffness cycle that happens when a sedentary body is suddenly forced into high gear. Mistake 5. The frozen fender arm swing. I see so many people walking with their hands in their pockets or gripped tightly to their chest. This is a disaster for the lower back. Human locomotion is a contralateral masterpiece. When your left foot steps forward, your right arm must swing to counterbalance the rotation. If your arms are static, your lower back has to absorb all that twisting force. Over time, this leads to chronic lumbar inflammation. Allow your elbows to bend at 90 degrees and let them swing naturally, like a pendulum. This recruits your upper back muscles, increases your caloric burn by 15%, and most importantly, trains your balance, which is your primary defense against falls as you age. Mistake 6. The digital blindfold. Walking while staring at a smartphone is the most dangerous habit on this list. Your vestibular system, the balance center in your ear, naturally declines with age. To compensate, your brain relies heavily on visual data to keep you upright. When you look at a screen, you are essentially blindfolding your balance centers. You missed a slight dip in the sidewalk or the wet patch of leaves, and at 60, a minor trip can lead to a hip fracture, which is a terrifying 1-year mortality rate. The walk is for your body and mind. Keep the phone in your pocket. If you need audio, use one earbud so you can still hear the world around you. This active looking is also a cognitive exercise that keeps your brain sharp. Mistake 7. The abrupt finish. The walk isn't over when the movement stops. Most people finish their walk and immediately sit down on the couch. This causes the blood to pool in the lower extremities and the muscles to set in a shortened position. Within 15 minutes of finishing, you need to do 2 things: hydrate and lengthen. Your muscles are 75% water. If you're dehydrated, they can't repair the micro damage from the walk. Drink a full 12 ounces immediately. Then spend 5 minutes stretching your calves and hip flexors. This prevents that heavy leg feeling the next morning and ensures your joints maintain their range of motion. I want you to realize that walking correctly is a skill, not just a reflex. It's the difference between building a fortress and slowly eroding a mountain. If you can identify even one of these errors in your daily routine, you have the power to change your trajectory today. So, I have a question for you. Which one of these invisible mistakes are you going to fix on your very next walk? Tell me in the comments. Identifying it is the first step toward correcting it. I'm doing this because the healthcare system is designed to fix you once you're broken. I want to make sure you never break in the first place. Subscribe if you're ready to treat your movement with the respect it deserves. Share this with a friend who's still walking the old way. And I'll see you in the next one.